So, sorry this is a few days late, but life, Easter and everything. But here's my review of Lux, the second episode of the latest series of Doctor Who. And, well, there's definitely a step up from the Robot Revolution. I can't remember what it's called for a second. And honestly, I think it's one of the strongest episodes recently, or definitely one of the ones I'd be up for rewatching the most. So the spoilers ahead, because there's no way I can get through this without spoilers, so you've been warned. So yeah, what can I say? 1950s Miami, kind of haunted cinema, and an creepy cartoon in real life. It's basically Doctor Who phoned Roger Rabbit. And honestly, it gets better. It's so cool. I was excited to go into it because I thought the idea of like a cartoon coming out of the screen was just incredibly cool. There's a few logistical errors that I'm a bit like, what was it about Moonlight that hitting that specific spoon at that particular point? Because I'm sure that happens fairly often. What about it? That specific one made that movie, or was it just that particular movie? I don't know. I'm not sure I get the rules of this show anymore, but yeah. So I thought that I much preferred the characters in this. I thought the Doctor and Belinda were they seemed a little less mean than last week, shall we say? Because there was a few bits in last week where I just felt it was just weirdly out of character. They'd be laughing, but that's last week. Move on. The design of Mr. Ringading was okay. I'm going to call him Lux because I know for a fact I'm going to get that name wrong at some point. But the design of Lux was really just awesome, and let's just say I was a bit surprised when they announced that it was Alan Cummings voicing him, because, as they said in the behind the scenes, he has been Doctor Who fairly recently, though 2018 was like 7 years ago. Who blimey? But yeah, so he has been Doctor Who fairly recently, but blimey, I couldn't think of anyone better to voice him. And that's the animation. That thing I love with these gods, that they're getting huge names in and then do them. I find these gods, the concepts of them fascinating. I find the portrayals of them fascinating. I think they just need to work on endings, because I think the endings have been a little bit unsatisfactory with all of them. And I mean, I got it when they said something about you could humans are like 60-70% water, we can still drown, because that's basically they did that in Tooth and Claw. But yeah, so I thought that was I thought I was a little bit confusing at times, but Lux is probably my favourite villain since Maestro last year. Again, similar concepts, similar design. I say similar design, yeah, similar concept, same pantheon of gods, same laugh. That arpeggio never gets old. I mean, I wish going into it I'd not seen set pics from when they were filming, because the set pics got leaked instantly, and I wish I'd not seen them, because the moment it said Harvest Bringer, everyone was just saying, "Oh, it's Harbinger," especially after whatchamacallit, Devil's Call. Like, anytime there's something Harbinger with anything like that, it's gonna be a god. I think the concepts in this episode were brilliant, and I've found that sometimes in this era the politics has been a bit hit and miss for me, but actually I think how they tackled racism, also the references like the HIV/AIDS crisis, I thought were done incredibly well, and it's a sort of bringing it up and having it in the thing that works for me, rather than being, I found last week's a bit again, I mentioned last week's. I found it a bit, and it didn't work for me as well. But yeah, I think there was a lot that I liked, and I'm trying to go and not talk too much about the meta stuff at the moment, but I might as well because I've just mentioned it. I sort of saw it coming. As soon as they come out, I'm just like, oh no. And I've heard rumours they were going to do this, and I was dreading it because I thought there's no way you can break the fourth wall and have Doctor Who fans in Doctor Who without it being very off-putting, cringy. But actually, it worked really well, and I like how that they didn't actually break into the real world. It was another one of the traps, and that they were self-aware enough. I feel like there was a lot of that whole thing was very self-aware. Well, it's better. It would be self-aware, as in them pointing out, going on about Blink and the hashtag Rip Doctor Who and all that stuff. And I liked how they popped up again in the credits as like, yes, we want to give them a happy ending because they're you, basically. And I know for a fact that despite the moment they were on the screen, me thinking, oh no, they're going to get on my nerves, it's because that they are exactly like, well, exactly what I'm doing here, talking about the episode. So, yeah, I guess it could be me in that situation. But no, I thought, like, again, like them being trapped in the film was really, really, like, really complicated but cool idea. I just thought that the way this whole episode worked was pretty decent. I think maybe a little bit of a quick wrap up, and again, not quite sure how I like the ending with Lux kind of just becoming everything and nothing, but it worked. And I thought that I thought that they could have made Lux a bit scarier, but what did really creep me out was when they kind of the stealing the Doctors by generation energy, which that's a whole kettle of fish that I do not want to get into, because by generation energy, that's complicated. I'm still not quite decided what I think of that, but the whole the more 3D looking animation, it to me it reminded me of how that there's been the trend in recent years when classic IPs with kind of copyright, like Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh and things like that, they immediately get turned into horror movies, and they generally go from like that look, the kind of Mr. Ring-a-Ding 1930s style of cartoons, to 3D and horror, and that looked like that, and it made me feel a bit because it was creepy as anything. But I liked how they went back to Mr. Ring-a-Ding and as he faded off, because otherwise that would be weird. Mrs. Flood popped up again. I think that's going to be a recurring thing, and I'm just obsessed with Anita Dobson, I think. Anyway, so overall I thought this was a lot stronger than last week. Probably one of the ones that I think I'll be most likely to revisit in the future. Yeah. Until I get around to recording my review for The Well, which I'm really looking forward to. Alon Z.